If sometimes you feel like you're exhausted, but your brain just won't switch off, you keep reaching for your phone without even realizing, and even when you finally have free time, you don't actually feel relaxed, this might be not a discipline problem. It might be your nervous system. And the frustrating part is that a lot of the things we do to fix ourselves actually keep us stuck in the same state. So in this video, I want to share 7 habits that gently bring your body back to safety. Not by forcing yourself, but by working with your nervous system. If you're new here, I'm Veronika, a polyglot yoga teacher and a plant-based nutrition advocate. And on this channel, we talk about the habits and mindset changes to help us live with more intention. And today, we're gonna talk about why your environment might be silently stressing you out, why your brain actually needs moments of nothing, and how small things like writing things down or being unreachable can shift you out of survival mode. If you want something practical to follow after this video, I created a free nervous system regulation guide. It's basically a simple daily routine you can come back to when everything feels a bit too much. I link it in the description below. Alright, so the first nervous system regulation habit I want to talk about is curating your physical environment. I think we all can relate to this. You walk into a place and suddenly feel off? Nothing is technically wrong, but your body is immediately tense. And when you walk into another space, you exhale without even realizing it. That is not random. Your brain is constantly scanning your environment for safety. This process is called neuroception, but you don't need to remember the word. What I want you to remember is that your body decides when you're safe before your mind does. So if your space is cluttered, noisy, or filled with things that carry emotional weight, your nervous system never fully relaxes. And I experienced it firsthand when I just moved into this apartment. 2 months in, the building next door started doing construction from Monday to Friday, and the noise was constant. And I just remember thinking, I'm at home, I should feel relaxed, so why don't I? It's because obviously my body didn't feel truly safe. But I also knew that I didn't want to move again because that involves extra money, frustrations, all of those things that I didn't want to experience again. So instead of just ignoring my state, I started helping me the ways that I could, like wearing noise-canceling headphones or maybe working at a coffee shop instead of being at home all day. And you know, when we talk about your physical environment, we can obviously also talk about decluttering. But for me, decluttering is so much more than just cleaning. Because when you go through your things systematically, you always notice a pattern. For me, it's usually things like unused makeup or clothes that I never wear or things that I bought thinking this item will absolutely change my life. And yes, I understand that at the very beginning, decluttering might feel pretty overwhelming for your nervous system because you have to confront the reality that all of those items you don't actually need. You wasted your money on things that you don't use. With that said, decluttering helps you let go of objects that are tied to stressful memories, items or gifts from your past relationships, your past identities, your past lifestyles. When I just moved abroad, I immediately bought a bike. 4 years in, I don't really use this bike anymore. And so recently I realized that I need to confront the reality that I might sell this bike now. This item is tied to my past lifestyle. It's not really something that I use right now. It would be better for me to sell it and make space for something that I actually use on a regular basis or something that I want to see in my environment because I keep my bike in my apartment and it takes up a lot of space. Because again, your nervous system doesn't regulate through just thinking. It regulates through what it feels around you. And actually, this idea of curating your environment doesn't just stop at your physical space. It also applies to your digital environment. Because if your phone, your inbox, your tools feel chaotic, your nervous system will feel that too. So one thing that really helped me simplify that side of my life is the tool I'm partnering with on today's video, which is Brevo. What I like about Brevo is that it puts everything in one place. Email marketing, automations, even things like SMS and WhatsApp, but in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming. Because I think a lot of tools promise to optimize your business, but they only make everything more complicated. But Brevo actually makes your life easier. You guys know that I have my own newsletter called Aligned, and I send you emails every single week. And so with Brevo, you can set up your own newsletter too. You can write something meaningful and connect with your clients this way, and know that everything else is taken care of in the background. Because Brevo lets you manage your email newsletters and all the other marketing automations all in one place. So if you're a creator or you're building something online and you've been feeling a bit overwhelmed by all the systems and tools, I highly recommend giving Brevo a try. You can use my link and my code VeronicaMark50 to get 50% off their starter and standard plans for the first 3 months. I'll leave all the details and the link to check them out in the description. Thank you so much to Brevo for sponsoring today's video. Okay, so the next habit that has been helping me heal my nervous system is doing one thing a day with less input than usual. A while ago, I noticed a very interesting thing about myself. When I sat down to relax, I immediately reached for my phone. Not because I needed to, not because I wanted to respond to a specific message, but because being in silence felt weird. I felt uncomfortable. And that's not random. Unfortunately, that's the reality that most of us are experiencing right now. We're all used to constant stimulation. Music, podcasts, scrolling, notifications. They shape almost every single minute of our days. It's like your mind always has something playing in the background. So obviously when everything goes quiet, it almost feels like something is missing. But here's the mindset shift that helped me so much. Quiet isn't empty. It's unfamiliar. And your nervous system has to relearn that quiet is actually safe. And I think that's one of the major reasons why doing like a full detox doesn't really work for most people. Because it's like going from 100, where your day is filled with constant input, to 0, where all of a sudden you're not watching anything, you're not listening to anything, you're not using your phone at all. And for most of us, when we try to do a full detox like that, we just quit. Like, we don't actually finish it. So that is why right now what I do is I look at my day and I try to notice all of those moments when I have something playing in the background. So instead of removing all the input completely from all of those different situations, I just pick one moment and I say, okay, today when I'm washing the dishes, I'm not gonna listen to anything. I'm just gonna be focused on me washing the dishes, and that's it. You can start with something really small, like drinking your tea without doing anything else. Sitting on the floor for 5 minutes doing nothing. Like, literally set a timer. When 5 minutes are up, you're done. Showering without a podcast. Using the bathroom without your phone. I know a lot of us do that, unfortunately. And in those moments exactly, you're showing your body that nothing is happening. And that is okay. I'm completely okay. Alright, so another nervous system regulation habit that I want to talk to you guys about is giving your mind a place to land. You know, in the past, when we would only have one phone in our house, something that people would often do is, while you're talking to someone, you also have like a piece of paper in front of you and you're doodling. You're drawing something while also talking to this person. But now we never ever do that because we almost never call anyone, we just text. And even when we work, we don't really have this habit of writing things down, just random things that pop in our minds. But this habit of doodling, writing random words, drawing shapes was actually doing something super important. It was giving our mind somewhere to go, because your brain is not designed to store everything. You're not a storage machine. It's designed to process, create, and think. And when too many thoughts stay in your head, it's like keeping 20 tabs open on your computer and trying to go from one tab to the other and then to the next and then go back to the first one. There's this constant low-level tension in the background. So now I've become that person who always carries a notebook and a pen with me. me, especially when I'm working or reading something. Because usually those are the moments when my mind suddenly gives me something else to focus on. Like, oh, what about, buying this thing on Amazon that you really wanted to buy? And instead of switching context and going on Amazon and purchasing that thing, I just write it down. That's it. I can forget about it and focus on my work. I have my computer right here, and this is usually how I work. I literally open my notebook. It is very small, very thin, so I can always carry it with me, and I just place it like this, with my pen on top of it. Done. So that anytime something pops into my head, I can just write it down and then plan a specific time block where I'm gonna address all of those little things written in my notebook. And honestly, right now, when I look at all of the things I wrote yesterday, most of them don't make any sense. Like, I'm gonna show you guys, this is a little doodling page that I have, and like, what are all of these dots? Like, what was I trying to say? I have no idea. The point is, in the moment, my brain needed to write those 6 dots because it needed to let something go. With this, my brain doesn't have to hold on to everything just in case. It has somewhere to land. Alright, the next habit I want to share is make being unreachable the default. If my phone is face up next to me when I work, this is usually something that happens. Like, my phone is just sitting here, right? But a part of my brain is waiting for a message, a notification, something. And that alone keeps my body slightly tense because I'm never fully off. And the crazy part is that this didn't used to be normal. There was a time when people were unreachable most of the day. Like my mom, she grew up in the countryside, and if somebody wanted to talk to her, they had to wait. Or if she wanted to talk to someone, she had to go over to their house or call at a specific time and hope that they would be there. And no one was thinking, why didn't this person reply in 2 minutes? That expectation didn't exist. But now our default is being reachable all the time. So even if no one is texting you, your nervous system is still in that state that something can come up in any moment. So I always have to have my phone next to me, in my pocket, in my hand. And so that is why right now my current shift is that instead of being constantly reachable and then sometimes disconnecting, I flipped it. I became mostly unreachable and intentionally reachable. My phone is basically on do not disturb all day. I usually check all of my work-related things on my computer anyway, so there's no reason for my phone to be always on. I only turn off do not disturb when I'm expecting something important, like an important call or a delivery. And obviously, I still check my messages. I don't just ignore people, but I do it at specific times that I set for myself. Usually once in the morning right after breakfast and once later in the day when I finish work. That allows me enough time to still respond to everyone, to still be connected, but on my own terms. Because you don't need to be constantly available. You can give that gift to your nervous system. Okay, so habit number 5 that has been helping my nervous system so much is using my breath as a reset. One of the fastest ways I've learned to calm my nervous system is something that we do all the time: breathing. But not the way we usually do it, because when we're stressed, our breath changes. It becomes shorter, faster, almost like your body is preparing you for something. And what's interesting is that you can reverse that state by changing the way you breathe. You can use your breath to send your body the opposite signal: we are safe. Every time I go and practice yoga, I usually start with some breathing techniques or pranayamas. And one of my absolute favorite techniques is called bee breath or Brahmari pranayama. You inhale slowly through your nose and then you exhale doing this humming sound, like a bee. You can place your thumbs on this area of your ears, just like this, kind of closing your ears, and then placing your fingertips all around your face. This way, you will hear the humming even better. Those slight vibrations in your throat, your face, and maybe even your chest. And that vibration is actually the point because it gently stimulates your nervous system to help you calm down. If you do 5 to 10 rounds like that, you will feel a shift almost immediately. Because remember, your body responds so much better to signals than just thoughts. And your breath is one of the strongest signals that you have. I also read one pilot study that found that humming or Brahmari pranayama produced the lowest stress index compared to emotional stress, physical activity, and even sleep. Another one that I do very often during the day when I feel overwhelmed is something called the physiological sigh. And you've actually seen that before, and you've definitely done that before. When a child is crying really hard, they often do this little pattern. 2 quick inhales and a long exhale. Something like this. It's not something they learned. It's a built-in reset, and you can do that too. So you take a long inhale through your nose, and then you take a second but quick inhale through your nose, and a long exhale with a sigh. I especially love doing this when I'm laying down in Shavasana. It just feels so great. Or during the day when something is stressing me out, and instead of just keeping it in, I sigh it out. I let myself breathe it out instead of keeping all of that tension inside my body. Nervous system regulation habit number 6 that you can try is regulating yourself through rhythm. If you think about it, every single culture has some version of it. Chanting, drumming, dancing, walking, rocking, those are not just random traditions. They all have one thing in common. They create a steady, predictable rhythm in your body. And your nervous system really loves that. That is why rocking just feels so calming. Maybe when you're working in your chair, you can rock a little bit side to side. You can sway by listening to music, go for a walk where your steps fall into a natural rhythm. Even things like knitting, cleaning, gardening, or petting an animal have the same effect. What all these things have in common is that they're repetitive and predictable. There is a steady pattern that your body can follow. And that is what helps your nervous system settle. You can tell yourself to relax 100 times, but your body will still feel tense. And obviously, just telling yourself, relax, relax, why can't I just relax? It doesn't really work. It only makes you even more stressed. And so when you give your body a rhythm, something steady and predictable to focus on, it starts to downshift almost immediately. Alright, and the final nervous system regulation habit that I really want to talk about is stop trying to optimize everything. Most of my life, that is exactly the state my nervous system lived in. The state of constant optimization. I started doing sports competitively, rhythmic gymnastics, when I was 4. And from that moment on, everything was about improving, tracking, and getting better. Then I did track and field when I was a teenager for 4 years, and later I trained for a marathon. I was always tracking something, my performance, my progress, my body, my routines. But the constant self-monitoring was keeping my nervous system on edge all the time. And right now I see it all the time too, especially with how many different tools and trackers we have, like to track our sleep, calorie counting, how many steps we take every single day. There's even a term for it, orthosomnia, which basically means the pursuit of perfect sleep, which actually makes your sleep worse because you're thinking about it too much. You're watching it, you're measuring it, you're trying to control it, and that makes your anxiety about your sleep so much worse. And at some point, I had to face this honestly. I'm never going to get better if I treat myself like a project to solve. Because a lot of the time when we're dysregulated, we don't want to slow down. We do the opposite. We consume more self-help. We analyze and optimize ourselves even more. And what it does is it creates this constant pressure that something about me isn't right yet. And if I optimize this one more thing, if I fix this one more habit, I'm finally gonna become perfect. And that pressure itself is exactly something that made my nervous system so dysregulated. So one of the best things I did for myself was actually stepping out of that loop. Instead of treating myself as I'm broken, I need to fix myself, I started to ask, what if I'm already okay? And I just need to support myself better. Alright guys, I think it's going to be it for today's video. I really hope you liked it, and I really hope you learned some new habits to start helping your nervous system. Just a reminder, if you want to create your own newsletter and automate your marketing, I highly recommend giving Brevo a try. All the links and all the information is going to be down below. If you want to continue watching something, you can click here. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching my videos. I'll see you in my next one.